Well, hi, everybody. Hello, friends. Hello, you lovely lot. Uh, Good to see you today, and welcome to Her Aging Parents, Her Thriving Business. And today, we're going to talk about your parents. Now, of course, it's going to include you too, but we're going to talk about your parents, specifically if you have narcissistic parents. And I have a guest here today with me that I am so excited to introduce you to. I would like for you to know my friend, my colleague, Devora Gila Berkowitz. Devora believes that you can reach your next level by healing the emotional and spiritual root causes of wellness and relationship challenges. She is an intuitive energy healer and spiritual life coach for holistic practitioners, coaches, healers, and others who are frustrated that they aren't living their best life, even though it seems they've tried everything. Can you relate to that? She became inspired to do this work through her own personal journey from chronic anxiety, eating disorders, trauma, and multiple sclerosis. Devora's unique style taps into the conscious, unconscious, and superconscious mind to heal the inner child, bust through mindset pitfalls, and create energy shifts that allow you to break through your wellness glass ceiling. Her clients go from frustration, illness, or feeling like a failure to the joy and gratitude of reaching their next highest level of health and well-being. When she's not co-creating miracles with her clients, I love that, or busy at home with her husband and 4 creative children, Devora loves breathing meditations, nature walks, and spending quiet time at the Sea of Galilee near her home in northern Israel. So welcome, Devora. It's so good to see you.
Hey, Wendy, I have to say, you handled that mouthful really, really well.
Oh, hey, thank you. And
Yeah,
that's high
that was
praise
a
because
lot.
Devora, she knows I'm flying by the seat of my pants today. Anybody else do that? So this topic came about because Devora and I talked, a month ago? And this conversation, our conversations just kind of organically evolve, and we got on this topic and we were like, I think we need to have a conversation about this and include all of you in it. So what I know about narcissistic parents, I hear from my clients, right? And I hear about the detriment of having those narcissistic parents. And some individuals, this might relate to you, are so, I'm going to say traumatized, whatever that means to you, right? Could mean many different things, are so traumatized that they're unable to make a decision. They're unable to put themselves first, to take care of themselves, right? They're so beaten down by the words that they hear, right? From their parents. And words hurt sometimes more than like the physical, if you get hit or something like that. Well, it both hurt. They both hurt, right? But the narcissism puts a mark on your soul. That's the only way that I can see it, that I can explain it from what I've seen. And so we can't have that, right? As you are wanting to have a thriving business, as you want to live your best life, as you want to enjoy your life. And oh, by the way, throwing into the mix of all this, if you are called on to take care of a narcissistic aging parent, oh my gosh, right? Let's say you think you have, you've separated yourself, you've healed from the childhood, trauma that you've experienced with your aging parent or with your parent, right? You've started your own life, you started your own business, you're doing the things, you're living your life, and then wham. Hey, mom fell. Hey, this happened. Okay, well, circumstances being whatever they are, somehow it turns up to be you're the only one taking care of this person, taking care of your aging parent, no matter what that looks like, right? And so today I want to talk about a couple of things. Boundaries come up. Boundaries come up. We'll see where this conversation goes. What I invite you to be curious about, if you are in this situation, if you are taking care of a narcissistic aging parent, I want you to be curious, and I invite you to ask yourself, how can I apply this to my life? Whatever's said here, how would this help me? I invite you to focus on yourself today, right? And so with that, Devora, I've just spewed a lot of information, of stuff.
That was great. Yeah.
And I just want to turn it over to you and what's come up for you? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I really resonate with what you're saying, because the clients that come through my business also, many of them have struggled with childhood abuse and narcissistic parents. I think I'm going to generalize and say challenging parents, and that includes narcissistic parents, because the whole point is that they never felt seen and heard. And that's one of the points I want to touch on today. So if we're going to figure out how to set boundaries for yourself, it really has to start with what's going to support you to feel seen and heard. So I'd like to backtrack a little bit with this kind of general concept. And the concept is pretty simple. It's love and compassion, right? Now, a lot of people find it very hard to have self-love and self-compassion. That's totally understandable, especially if you were never seen and heard, especially if you weren't told you were loved or you weren't treated as loved, or if your parents, you know they loved them, but still there's something inside that feels like there's like a hole, something is missing. So what I want to introduce is this idea now, to consider this for a moment. This idea, you mentioned something very spiritual before, and the idea is that we are brought into this world with a mission, with a purpose, and one of those purposes is to evolve and learn and grow. I think you might agree with me on this.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is that we agreed on that. Imagine that your soul floating out in the unit, you're part of the unity of the universe, you're like a drop in that ocean. And one day you agree to come down to the earth to take on this mission, and you're sent here, and all of a sudden you find yourself in this challenging, parent-child relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to consider, as much as you may have, and I'm saying you in general, you may have struggled, that this was something that you agreed to as a soul in the unity of everything. And if we take ourselves from that like million mile in the air perspective and look down at our lives, I'm hoping that might take some of the edge off of hurt feelings, of blameful feelings, and say, hey, wait, there's a bigger picture here that maybe I need to tap into to understand my life better, to start to forgive. And this is where the love and the compassion come in, because I truly believe that we are created in the divine image. And that's a concept that's just a lot older than I am. And we are created in this divine image, and we have a relationship with our divine creator, however you might see that higher power. And that divine source never left you since you were unified, as a soul in that bigger, holistic, universal picture, has always been with you. And so starting from that place, I want to invite you to consider that there is divine love and divine compassion on you from the very, very start, even before you were brought to the world. If you could start with that place of divine love and compassion, then I'm hoping that maybe you could start having love and compassion for yourself. If you don't, and what I have found is putting your hands over your heart, doing some heart math or heart resonance work is very, very helpful. So how does that sound, Wendy? Like, as a first step before anything else, is to try to connect to that idea that you are already loved, and to see yourself in that bigger, more compassionate picture, being here in the world in your relationship situation. How does that resonate with you?
I love that, because what I know is, if you do not love yourself and value yourself, you will let anyone, right, talk down to you, right? You will take what you receive. And instead, when you love yourself and value yourself, you will say, no, that is not how I am to be treated, right? So I love that that's the first step. Yeah, I think that's very valuable.
Yeah, and once you can connect with that idea of, I am loved, I have a divine source. I think it's so important to connect with that and develop that relationship and look for those signs and those signals and those divine winks and things that happen that aren't coincidences, they're really from someone who's watching out for you. And then to allow yourself to really dig deep and integrate being seen and heard. Now, I'm what I call a Demerol baby. So to no fault of my mom, a lot of moms in that generation, and dating myself, this is, I guess, this 60s, 70s. I was born in 71. Although
74.
someone told me the other day, nice. Someone told me the other day I look like a 40, and I was like, oh, thank you. So in any case, so what's a Demerol baby? That's someone whose mother, I don't get it because I gave birth without medication 4 times. Their mother was actually asleep when they were born, or they were like knocked out or something like that. Okay. So after this trip through, my soul took, through all of the heavens, and I was, in this comfy womb space getting nurtured for 9 months. All of a sudden, boom, I'm out in the world. Mom's asleep. She's totally out of it. I get whacked by the doctor. I'm in a place with crying babies. That's very, very traumatic. That is like the first trauma, is being brought into the world. And so that initial bonding never really happened. I'm not saying it can't be repaired. And it's what actually drove me with my 4th child to have a home birth and actually catch him in the bathtub. And to this day, I would say that's my most connected child. So being seen and heard is super important, even right from the beginning. And if that didn't happen, Wendy, what we have to do is we have to do it for ourselves. We have to become our own parent. And in my sessions with clients, we do it through very meaningful meditative exercises where you have an opportunity when you're in a relaxed and meditative space, you have an opportunity to conversation with your inner child or your inner children. And many people have done different types of this work before, and the result of that is calling back parts of you that have just been left behind, that have been fragmented. And there's such a feeling of wholeness and unity that gets you in realignment with yourself and reminds you of that initial giant puzzle that you were a part of so many, eons ago, and before you were born. So being seen and heard by yourself, for yourself, is really important. So we start with the divine love and compassion, and then seeing and hearing yourself really in a deep way. That's the second step.
I love what you said in the beginning of this conversation about divine winks, which that causes me to think that you've heard this probably many times. The universe is always conspiring on your behalf. Right?
Nice.
I've heard this so many times, and it's like, it's ingrained in me, but in the beginning, when someone told that to me the first time, I'm like, yeah, right. What the heck is she talking about? Right. But the more that you hear that, the more you believe it. And the more that you believe it, the more that things start changing.
Yeah,
so
that's the relationship,
right?
That's the relationship that I'm talking about. Because the divine, your source creator, however you want to say that, is wanting that relationship so much. And one teacher said to see God as vulnerable. Like, God's actually vulnerable. He needs me to recognize him. Like, that's a crazy idea, but it's true. So the more, and also what you focus on grows, right? As coaches, that's like number one rule. So to focus on those divine winks, on those coincidence, those synchronicities, and where is the divine calling on me? Because that's my biggest cheerleader in my soul's evolution, so that I can be the best version of myself that I can be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And what you said in this portion where that I called out was the calling back the parts of you that I just see someone kind of standing there, and it's kind of like a magnet. Like they are the magnet, and then the parts of them are the pieces of steel or some kind of metal. And it's just like, all coming back. And they almost have a suit of armor, which that's interesting. I have a client that says she has a narcissistic mom. Boy, does she have a narcissistic mom. She says every time before she goes into her mom's room at the retirement facility, she zips up an imaginary hazmat suit. She puts it on over, she puts the hood on, and then she zips up from top to bottom.
That's
I
pretty
don't know
cool.
if this is making sense, but I feel like if I'm thinking it, I'm going to say it. So there you go.
Yeah, and that's part of the boundaries, because
Right.
there are four kind of major aspects of anything in life. There's the spiritual, the emotional aspect of it, the mental aspect, and the physical aspect of it. And what we know from marathon performers and your superstars is what science has proven, which is that the body doesn't really know if you've done it physically or if you've done it mentally. So like the
Yeah.
4-minute mile was broken because it was a dream in somebody's mind, and they visualized themselves going through that. So for sure, your visualization, your intention, your conscious mind, your imagination can create these boundaries, and also other things. That's what vision boards are. That's what manifestation work is. It's calling things to you. So for sure, put on your hazmat suit or bring down golden light from heaven, which is what I like to do, and surround my body with that before client sessions, for example, and help them do that as well. So whatever it takes. So your spiritual and mental work first, and then that helps you actually create that boundary with that person.
So the spiritual mental work first, and then creating a boundary. I wonder if this would go ahead.
Yeah, the spiritual and mental boundary first. You prepare yourself, and in order to put your boundary, because mindset work always needs to start with a couple steps beforehand. I would even add the emotional aspect to that, which is to let's say you're going to be facing your parent, and your emotions come, like the immediate emotion of facing that parent is fight or flight, for example.
Absolutely.
That's just wired into your system. So then there's emotional work that needs to be done before you can have the mental work of I'm going to put up a boundary with my parent. It needs to be emotional. In Kabbalah, we're taught that the order of the four worlds is spiritual world first, then the emotional world was created, and then the mental world, and then the physical world. And so the emotional work really has to come before the mental. I didn't mention it before because I was just thinking in a different way. You need to clear out those emotions. You need to disengage those emotions. And you know what the first step of that is the divine love and compassion to yourself. So always going back to that love and compassion.
It all starts there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does.
And as you're talking, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
We have so much to say. We're tripping over each other, which I love that. But no, go ahead, Devora.
There's also the energetic, which it's related to the spiritual. There's the energetic part of these relationships too. And think of yourself, you're coming into the world as a physical being. You have the DNA from your parents, you have their DNA, and so on and so forth, back hundreds, thousands of generations, and also the epigenetic levels. So you're receiving all of that. You're receiving all of their beliefs that are coming in. You're receiving all the emotional cellular memory, and you're receiving a lot of things from your parents. And so one of the works is one of the services as an energy practitioner that I do is to help untangle those energetic patterns, to untangle the energetic relationship, to help people separate out from that dysfunctional relationship. In fact, that's one of the first things that I'll do with a client is to cut that cord with that person and also work with that person as well as themselves, so that we're getting like a holistic kind of treatment, like treating the whole family kind of thing energetically. So there's like two parts. There's the self-healing. You have to work on healing yourself, because if you're not a participant, then you know that's not working on your evolution to become who you need to be. And then there's also like the done for you part that I love as an energy practitioner. It's like stepping in and saying, okay, let's take out the energetic surgical tools. Where can we snip a little here, snip a little there, and do some spiritual surgery.
Spiritual surgery. Okay. So I'm making notes because I want to come back to this. But what you had said, if I can recall this, untangling. You help your clients untangle the relationship with their parents, the beliefs that they have, the beliefs that their parents have, that's all tangled up, mushed up, whatever in their lives. And as a result of that, as a result of the untangling, what have you seen happen for these individuals?
Oh, so this is exciting. When you take the untangling and then you couple that with the individual work that the client does, let's say they've gotten to a point where they feel safe enough to, hold love for their loved one, because they've sent themselves love and they're seen and heard. And now they can send that heart resonance energy to their parent, in this case. A lot of powerful healing can happen, because the heart is the strongest energy in the universe. So if you could learn to open your heart to yourself, you can learn to open your heart to your narcissistic parent, and you have your energetic practitioners help opening up their heart, a lot can happen. So one case that comes to my mind is a client whose adult daughter wouldn't talk to her for over a year. And this was very painful for her.
Sure.
And I know this is a different kind of situation, but to illustrate about the relationship entanglements. So as a result of the work that we did, first the daughter called or maybe wrote a text and asked for money. Okay, that's pretty safe for the daughter to do, right? And then you saw the daughter kind of call and ask for advice, right? This is over like a period of months, because deeper issues take longer to heal.
Absolutely.
And everything's in divine timing anyway, right? So the results are gonna happen when they're meant to happen. And then you see the daughter saying that she wanted to fly out from America to Israel to move to Israel, where her mother is, which is mind-blowing.
Right.
And that is something that is possible when you're working behind the scenes. The daughter didn't know anything that we were doing. So all energetic, which helped my client's mindset, which helped my client's emotional body. And remember that parents and children, the mother and the child, are so tightly intertwined. Absolutely. Right? How many times has my daughter said the words that were in my head, right? They're so tuned into us.
Right.
So if you can do that work for your relationships, you're going to see that manifesting in front of your eyes. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And so speaking of manifesting, I guess visualizing and then manifesting, what if someone has a narcissistic parent? And you know how you probably don't do this. I do this sometimes. I'm getting better at it, but typically we kind of chew on not the interactions, but the negative interactions, like the fights, the degradation, the whatever that our parent throws at us, right? Kind of makes us feel bad. And so, you know how we're programmed as humans, we don't necessarily focus on the positive. We're always like, oh my gosh, that last time I talked to my mom, that last time I was over there, and this is how she made me feel. And we just kind of chew on that, right? Until the flavor's
Mhm.
gone out of the gum. And that doesn't serve anybody. What if instead we were really conscious of when those memories come back, when those triggers come in of confrontations, conversations, whatever, with our aging parents that have happened. When we notice that, like, okay, stop. And then instead, we visualize what we want to have happen. Like we visualize, okay, mom's in a good mood. It's a sunny day. She's happy. It's a good interaction, right? That kind of thing. What if we visualize that, the outcome we want? Would that help us to manifest that?
Yeah, you're on the right track.
I'm on
I'm
the
going
right
to
track.
add
Okay.
something. Yeah, I'm going
Yes.
to add something to that. And I
Perfect.
love that you came up with that example. And this is related to what we were saying before about mindset and emotions. So I'm going to give you a secret that I really just share
Ooh.
with my VIP clients. So lean in.
Oh my gosh, you
Okay.
guys, get a pencil, piece of
So
paper. She's going to give us a secret.
yeah.
So,
So
okay.
this is a manifestation tip. And it also goes back to that divine love and compassion. It's like, you really need to feel I would say the pain, the constriction of what's bothering you,
Mm,
not to spiral down into a rabbit hole of you don't want it, right? The point is you're going to get out, but to feel that constriction as a way of
mhm.
acknowledging that, reptilian part of the brain that wants to be in survival mode and this is comfortable. And so I'm going to stay here,
Yeah.
just going to give it a little taste. And then once you feel like you acknowledged, right, in self-compassion, don't beat
Mhm.
yourself up, then it's time to open up to the what if. I wonder what that would look like if mom was, happy, or I wonder, how the divine is going to
Mhm.
soften this relationship, whatever that. I love
Right.
these I wonder questions and what if questions, opening up that vacuum for divine manifestation to come through and to help you, because we don't do it by ourselves. We do it with the divine creator source, the one who's moving the energy in the background. So again,
Mhm.
just to sum up,
Love that.
being with and accepting that constricted place, the negative emotions, not staying there, being in compassion so that it can release, and then opening up
Oh, wow.
in curiosity and creating in your mind what it is that you want to see. And there's actually like two little steps of the bigger picture. Let's make it 4. I'll give you like a bonus.
Mhm.
So the first step is just being aware of those feelings. The second step is what I said, feeling that, letting it release because you're in
Right.
compassion. The third step is opening up to possibility. And the fourth step is taking your action step, your baby step, whatever that might be.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And so just a little side note here. As you're talking, I am reminded of a time way back when I wasn't taking care of mom yet. What happened was I was over mowing her grass on the riding mower, right? She was not home, gets home, sees me mowing the grass, stops me, proceeds to tell me all the ways that I've done it incorrectly. It's wrong, this, that, and the other. And I let her. Did not feel good. And I wasn't in a place of saying to her, no, by the way, you're welcome for me doing this, right? I let her. After many years of doing my own deep internal work, right? When she does that now, well, she doesn't do it gosh, I don't even know when the last time was she just had a hissy fit about something and just really dressed me down. I don't remember. But shortly after I did that deep internal work, and like you said, you love yourself first and you value yourself, I was like, Mom, you can be mad, you can be upset, but it doesn't give you the right to talk to me the way you're talking to me. And if you're going to continue with that, I'm going to go home. Right? So I'm sharing this because you have the right to decide how you get treated, even if it's by your parents, right? You have the right to say, no, this is not okay. And I just want to give you that permission to value yourself, to love yourself, that when that's happening, say, no, not going to happen. Sorry, not on my watch. Sorry, not sorry. And leave, remove yourself from the situation, right? Take care of yourself. Sorry, just had to.
Yeah, that's that boundary, Wendy. That's the boundaries that we're talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And because you did that inner work, that we were talking about, you putting on your suit. Well, you did that inner emotional and spiritual work. So you were ready then to put the boundary in the physical world.
Absolutely.
And to say the words. Yeah.
And to say the words. Yeah. Okay. I'm wondering, I think I want to kind of start wrapping this up. We could go on talking for a while about this, I would venture to guess.
Yeah.
About so many things, but if someone is in this situation, right? They are taking care of a narcissistic parent. What is your very first step for them to get out of that mindset, that situation, to basically just get that off of them? What's the very teeny tiny step they could take?
Well, two things come to mind. One is what we talked about before, is sending themselves divine love and compassion, and reminding themselves that this is their journey, and this is something that they are. And it's hard to say this because it's painful, and to tell someone that, you chose this, you chose to come down in the world. It might sound a little bit, I would say, rational and uncompassionate. On the other hand, I think it's still important to remember that we chose our parents. And this is something that, if you're studying, let's say, generational trauma therapy, or studying it through the lens of spirituality, without acknowledging that, we're lost. And so, if you're not sending yourself love, then you need to start doing that. It's also like, to use it as a springboard for your divine relationship. What am I to learn here? God, what is it that you want me to learn? What is the characteristic I'm supposed to develop here? Is it patience? Is it boundaries? Is it limiting my generosity? These are questions that you want to do not in the moment. These are questions you want to kind of focus on as your spiritual journey.
Right.
To look at, because anybody who's in any kind of pain, whether it's a painful relationship with narcissistic parents, whether it's in an abusive relationship, that you need to really think about, is it time to get out of this relationship? And you can't really divorce your parents so easily, right? So that's a tougher one. So you're asking me what's the tiniest baby step, and I tend to see the bigger picture,
of course,
which is why I started out with the love yourself, because that's where everything starts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And pray like heck. Pray like heck.
Pray like
if you're not praying already.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's been the key to all my painful challenges in my life. You wouldn't believe how many candles I light every week.
Yeah. Okay. So you light
Always great.
candles. A prayer could be, I do this sometimes. I'm like, God, you know, and I just say that like, dude, he knows, he knows to what I'm referring to. Or it's just a
Mhm.
simple like, oh my gosh, I need some help, right? That could be a prayer. It could be a
Right.
recited prayer. It could, prayers come in many different forms. And I love your very teeny tiny next step. So this is for you folks that find yourself in this situation. Send yourself love. And what I know about that is that might be really difficult for you to do at this point. And I encourage it. I know Devora encourages it, right? Send yourself love. And I'm going to put a step before that. I think the step even before that, sending yourself love, is noticing how you're feeling. Are you chewing over a situation and it's not a good situation and it just keeps rolling over in your mind? Notice it. Send yourself love. Are you having a horrible time with your aging parent and they're just knocking you down, knocking you down? Notice it. Send yourself love. That's my +1 for this.
Yeah, that's the awareness
The
that
awareness
comes before
part.
the, yeah, the awareness, and then feeling the feelings while sending yourself compassion. So I
Yeah.
totally agree with you. I think every coach in the world would say awareness is your first step. Not to take away what you just said, because that was beautiful the way that you said. That's really, really important
Thank you.
to be aware of what you're feeling, to not disappear, to not be in, flight
Mhm.
mode and run away, but to really see what's going on, or
Absolutely.
disassociate. A lot of people are in dysfunctional relationships for decades before
Mhm.
they really are aware what happened, because they had a coping mechanism of just being asleep, sleepwalking through it because it was so painful. So yes, do that.
Absolutely.
Notice what you're feeling for sure.
Beautiful. So to wrap up, notice, acknowledge what you're feeling, send yourself love because you're worth it, because your business is worth it. Your dreams are worth it. Your health, your relationships, your finances, all of who that makes you who you are is worth it. So you can get in touch with Devora. There are going to be all kinds of links below here in the show notes that you can reach out to her. I believe she also has a gift for you, right? A link that you can click and get some even more bonus. Boy, my language is just awesome today. You can get even more bonus material. I'm just going to go with that because I can't string a sentence together.
Value.
Value. Thank you for that assist. Absolutely. So Devora, it's just been a pleasure, as always, to talk with you and learn from you. And thank you for being my guest.
Oh, always super cool, Wendy, to hang out with you. I'm glad that we're connected, and we'll speak soon.
Okay. Thanks, Devora. Bye, everybody.
Bye for now.